Welcome back for match point of Team WE versus Young Generation. And a slight update here for the third game of this series. Zero going to be subbing in. So he was looking brilliant when WE did start him after the first game or two for WE earlier on. And we'll see whether he's going to be able to continue the onslaught that is this series.
Yeah, so far with a ridiculous KDA, and the series itself also
they might be doing it some damage, Rusty. This could be a problem.
And I don't know if onslaught's the correct word for this series based off the last game. It was a little bit back and forth. A couple of Baron stills ultimately decided who the winner was. Ben didn't have the best performance. He was a little bit shaky. I think that is fair to say. But ultimately, Zero has looked like the better of the two in the limited sample size that we've got from Team WE. So it is an okay choice in the end that they will bring Zero in. It means that the sleepy Korean bottom lane will be reunited once more.
Yeah, and they have looked extraordinarily dominant. Of course, going back to your point about Ben not necessarily looking as strong, giving up first blood in game number 1 certainly wasn't fantastic. However, the rest of the experience was dominant, to say the least. Some of his Cosmic Radiances also were working out very, very well. And the other thing you have to look at, it may not necessarily have anything to do with Ben's performance. Changing up a player in game number 3, especially in a series like this, just throws your opponent through a loop because you have to ban different champions. You have to take different risks in the draft in order to go against WE, so they kind of get an extra fresh start as far as what they want to play. We know that Zero plays basically every champion possible on the bottom side of the map, so those bans may not necessarily change because things like the Thresh, things like the engage style supports that Ben does like so much, Zero can certainly do as well.
You can as well, yes. So they share a lot of their champion pool, and you never really say the reason for the sub is going to be something to do with champions specifically. You know, maybe Braum, something that Zero might look at as a higher priority to the Thresh than that of Ben. But ultimately, you've got the sub. It's going to happen. It's 2-0 up in a series between Team WE and Young Generation. And Team WE are the ones to throw a spanner in the works. Young Generation are not going to sub their top laner. They're going to stick with NhocTy. And as far as I'm concerned, I still believe that NhocTy is the better player. If we're to draw a direct comparison, the way that he's able to simply just play the tanks, play the meta of what this tournament has become, it just looks like the better of the two themselves. So I think Young Generation have made the correct move by not mixing it up.
Yeah, Ren didn't exactly have the greatest first day on day 3 of the play-in group stage. Zero gets himself into this game, gets all of his settings sorted out. We are going to be heading towards Champion Select. And Young Generation, with the conversation we were having before game number 2, was what are they going to change drastically in order to get things working out for them? They made those adjustments. They had the successful early game that we knew Young Generation were capable of.
Yeah.
It's a team that's underneath the Gigabyte Marines, a team that is so explosive straight out of the gate. And now they're going to have to do it again, and they're going to have to go for the reverse sweep if they want to make it towards the round of 16 here at Worlds 2017.
And you know, the two big adaptations were the Syndra and the Lee Sin. Now, the Syndra, wildly successful, was not banned by Team WE in the second game and looked great. The Lee Sin, something that may want to change from them coming into game number 3, because I don't feel like it quite hit the mark that Venus was looking for.
Yeah, that ban list was certainly getting a little bit thin by the end when it came to jungle pool. So Venus did have a 100% record on the champion to start things off, but only going to make it 50% now. It's a huge chunk to be taken out when the sample size is so small. And there's the Syndra ban that you were looking for, Rusty. And once again, Sejuani and Kalista are going to be banned on the red side. Both teams, in fact, doing that one. As Varus is going to be the final ban here from WE.
Yeah, and the Varus removed. I wonder if Lulu's a priority for Team WE at all. I'm going to say I doubt it. They wanted to just get rid of one of the stronger lane-based champions.
Galio is still available.
Galio is always going to be a champion of choice, but not just the Varus ban. This is also going to be locked in by Mystic, and you leave open Tristana, he'll pick it, but you leave open Xayah, much higher priority.
Yeah, he's going to pick that one first, and no Rakan ban as well. See what the Young Generation decide to deny the Lovers duo, but there's a big gargoyle standing out like a sore thumb. And NhocTy is going to lock that one away. And now, does the Rakan follow up? And it does. Immediately locked away there by Young Generation. So I like the second round of picks.
I like that they've picked the champions they have, but I don't know if I like that they've denied 2 champions explicitly from Team WE as their draft phase. The question is, can they play them to the level of Team WE, or are they just denying them? In which case, what is the rest of the composition going to be? You can't pick 5 champions with the sole purpose of denying it from your opponents, as Team WE now get the chance to respond. I'm expecting a jungler with this rotation.
Well, Janna going to be locked away, so the bottom lane most certainly secured, and there is the Gragas. The wombo combo of disengage for WE is available if they want it.
Yeah, if they lock that one in, which they do, it means that champions like Corki and carries can also be looked at in the middle lane for themselves. You're also missing the top laner from 957. They might want to find out if it's the Galio they're against or if it's Galio mid lane for xiye to be playing against him, and they may find that out through this next pick phase.
Well, it's going to be difficult to figure that one out completely, so flex pick going to be working out here for Young Generation as they have to choose what bans are going to start things off. And junglers are probably going to be looked at here by WE as far as the focus of these bans. We did see the Elise and the Gragas banned away last game. Now with WE locking away the Gragas, see whether Lee Sin actually spends some time on that ban list.
I don't think it will. It could, but
potentially. I mean, what are the other junglers? I mean, you've got Olaf theoretically, but it's not Forlan. It's going to be taken to the Rift. Nidalee, certainly another one of those options.
Very good tempo jungler. Venus may be a Nidalee player, but it's a lot of respect shown by Team WE just for banning that one away. Perhaps concerned about being outpaced through the jungle when Condi is spending so much of his life ganking opposed to clearing.
Yep. Well, Rumble going to be taken away from 957. That extra damage of the magic variety on the top side of the map no longer there, followed by the Cho'Gath as well. So NhocTy wanting to change things up as we move to game number 3. May mean that he's going to be taking the Galio. We've seen a lot of other regions moving that Galio topside, whereas Team WE do like to play it in the mid lane if they get it.
It also means that Maokai is going to be up and available as one of the few remaining tanks to be picked in that top lane. Shen's also an option. 957 will be a good Shen player if he chooses to lock that one in response to something like the Maokai. So there's still enough top laners, let's say, as 2 junglers will be focused from Venus. I don't mind that they've gone for the Elise ban. It means that even Gragas could flex the top if they want, Team WE.
Yeah, 957 certainly has played that one, but I know I don't really like being a prophet when it's not necessarily the greatest choice, but Venus is going to lock away the Lee Sin once again. Now Mystic playing with the crowd's hearts as you heard the gasps. They want Susan, but I don't think Susan's going to happen.
He's going through the alphabet to get to Maokai. Of course, that is the expectation for Team WE. Maokai, we mentioned, one of the few remaining tanks left in this draft. Very strong top laner. I assume it will be into the Galio of NhocTy.
But they are going to keep that one unknown. So Young Generation on the red side once again. An element of surprise certainly there. And they do like to counterpick for Naul, theoretically. Their history here in this tournament is anything to go by.
The option to do so, of course, is there by being last pick. xiye is about to show his hand with the champion that he would like. Corki is something that we mentioned with the Janna Gragas composition. Maokai as well to stand in front and crowd control. As long as you're there, able to do damage, this also applies.
Okay, so the Jayce are going full AD for Team WE. I do like the Corki just because you get that mixed damage. 80% magic on the auto is certainly going to be feeling good as Palette. Oh, just do it. Don't be scared.
This feels like they're messing with the crowd a little bit more. You can hear the audible excitement at every opportunity. The champion gets hovered.
Well, Jayce hasn't necessarily been too successful so far in the play-ins. Laning experience hasn't been the greatest, but that is going to be LeBlanc locked in for Naul. So he's going to have a lot of assassination potential, and can xiye be that dominant force that we know he can be? Maybe not necessarily recently, but he's been warming up so far in this tournament.
You have to cast your mind, of course, back to when they last played Jayce in this tournament. xiye did have a decent showing.
That's true.
They were able to get the victory there. Team WE yet to lose a game at Worlds play-ins. Looking fantastic. Jayce is still one of those few champions. He's going to go towards the Ignite that can hard pressure his lane, but can also roam incredibly well and have super strong ganks. But when you've got the Ignite, its expectations are just try and control that 1v1 a bit more.
Yeah, the intense poke with the accelerated shock blasts as well will mean that WE can set themselves up for sieges, and then if Young Generation want to come at them in any sort of engagement, then they just throw down an explosive cask or a monsoon or a bramble smash or anything they want. They can even smash it back with the big hammer that Jayce does have available to him. So as far as disengage is concerned, they're absolutely fine. Plus, Xayah loves it when you come towards her.
Absolutely. If you're walking towards a Xayah, then you're potentially working towards the win conditions of that team, especially when they've got the Janna protecting it, the Gragas protecting it, Maokai also able to help with disengages or get those big flanks off. Young Generation, however, when you look at their team composition, Lee Sin Galio, Rakan Galio, all very good wombos, very much applicable wombos that they're able to put into play here up against the Team WE comp.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they have disengage options as well in the Buster Shot, in the Dragon Rage kick, and then NhocTy able to get there and help out. So I do like what Young Generation have put together, and I know I've been focusing a little bit, but WE not necessarily having the damage range could be dangerous.
Yeah, it could be. Xayah and Jayce, very low range champions. LeBlanc's chains will be...
Oh, more like damage range in Magic and Physical.
Ah, yes.
Just said it real bad. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
okay.
Rusty.
No, I'm with you now. Either way, it still all applies.
That's true.
Yeah, but the amount of physical damage, that's true. If you've got a Galio that can stack one form of resistance, then it's a very happy Galio.
Does prefer to be stacking the magic resist, but yes, still is going to be totally fine.
You can do both. You scale with levels when you've got a magic shield, so I'd argue that perhaps even just stacking armor is the better way to go, especially as a top laner. It might just be a Spectre's cow straight into the Righteous Glory.
Well, I like it from NhocTy. He's actually going to start off with a refillable potion and the Dark Seal. Double Dark Seals, in fact, coming out from Young Generation. So they liked it in the solo lanes, and they put rings on it.
And Dark Seal Galio top lane is abstract to me. I can understand what it wants to do.
I like the word abstract.
It can increase the amount of healing he'll have in his lane, but it almost means that he will acknowledge his lane isn't going to go all that well. Doran's Ring for extra mana return, killing minions could help with using spells to clear waves, but it seems that he just wants to recall early. Just wants to try and trade with 957, use his teleport to get back to lane and sustain through that for an extended period of time. Ultimately, 957 just standard with his Doran's shield, does not want to die.
Yep. And once again, late ward on the red buff here for WE. Want to know exactly where Venus is going to be starting, and they're going to know that the blue buff was the desired location. See how these lanes end up working out. xiye going to miss his third CS, so probably
but so
just
did
can't
Naul.
put- Oh god, okay.
That was a
Naul.
really good trade.
Incredible trade, actually. That's what Jayce can do in the early levels, Rusty. How do you see this mid lane going, of course, as a mid laner formerly yourself?
But Jayce just has a pretty good time into LeBlanc, unless the chains connect. It's all about skirting around.
What was
Mystic,
that?
Speaking of
Mystic?
skirting around, that's the go forwards approach. Make
Yeah.
sure that skill shots do not connect.
Well, that is the kind of trust you want in a relationship, you know? Rakan launches himself at Xayah, just doesn't really mind. It's okay, babe, you can just head past.
Is that how they
get
talk?
some free autos. I'm not entirely sure. xiye,
There you go.
Stunned, so it's going to be claimed back here by Naul.
Much
Had
better
eaten one
trade.
of his potions.
One difference as well is the biscuit that you're seeing from Jayce. These two, that was a flash and a heal.
Yeah. BigKoro now in trouble. It's Mystic, a lot of respect is being given to this Xayah.
You know, we haven't spoken about it in great detail, but since we are looking at it, Mystic on Xayah is one of those incredible players. He has watched and played a lot of it in the LPL, and he also learnt the hard way by being beaten around with Xayah. There's a couple of really cool interactions that he's capable of doing. The Flash E, where you can return the blades and redirect them by flashing, is something that Mystic is a big fan of, because it killed him when he tried to 1v1 another AD carry in the league. And now he uses it all the time.
Well, you know, if it takes you down, seems like something you'd want to utilize. The thing that I really, really like from Mystic is he's adapted to the speed of the grand entrance out of Palette so incredibly well. You saw it just walks out of the way, and now that the movement speed isn't as high on that ability, you can just dodge it by walking. Will mean that Palette's going to have to really up that aim. Get himself able to land those.
I think usually now with the new Rakan, it becomes less speedy when you have the boots upgrade. So until you get that purchase, yeah. Because the movement speed bonus was a big bonus beforehand, where now the base has been increased, but the movement bonus has been decreased.
100% to 30% as far as your additional movement speed, I believe, off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that, Russell. Palette is going to take a cheeky auto, but Mystic unable to get through the shield. And things have calmed down as, once again, casual wander out of the knock-up from the grand entrance.
The slight juke to the left. Last time it was just moving forwards. Mystic showing that he is not just an expert on Xayah, but that he can expertly work around Rakan, the other part of the duo. And Palette not having a great experience trying to hit these Ws, but it isn't losing them the lane. It's just being pushed in. You will see a notable CS difference, however, between them. That's starting to crop up from the extra control that Mystic and Zero have been getting. Slowly but surely.
Well, junglers, speaking of control, one of those wards is going to be taken down here by Venus. Has a bit of control as a great is finally going to land. Barrier immediately thrown out there by Mystic, who's trying to get the damage back. Explosive charge, not going to be quite enough as Zero with the storm does come in. Venus turning up the teleports there as well as the blade call is in. Mystic still alive for the moment. It's a really good tornado to come out from Zero, but it's not enough, and first blood goes over to Naul.
The heal, the barrier, the flash was all used. Mystic is still going to die in the end. The teleport from Naul, of all people, down into this bottom lane, immediately hitting those chains. Fantastic stuff from Young Generation. First things first, the shield just dissipated from Mystic. So timing it around Janna, Zero not able to do enough work, but he still interrupts the jump with his tornado in a situation where you say Mystic absolutely dead. Well, still dies in the end. You got to see the flash blade caller as well, but Naul's the real MVP here. Condi with a too little too late scenario there. Watches as his AD carry dies.
Yeah, now NhocTy clearing things out towards the top side of the map, but once again, Young Generation off to a fantastic start. It's a little bit of a different scenario given the fact that WE's composition works a little bit better this time, front to back. But any sort of lead against a team that does have a high index on one type of damage is certainly fantastic, because it's not like it's going to be difficult getting your tanks to itemize against these carries who do want to get themselves decent leads.
Yeah, and the LeBlanc also picks up the kill, which is very handy. It means the Seeker's Arm Guard will be collected in the middle lane for Naul, up against the Jayce, who goes for lethality as the first item. So early armor for the LeBlanc will do wonders for the laning in the 1v1. Very nice for Naul to have up against xiye, who has been doing fine up until this point.
Casual hallucination just hangs out underneath the turret, as you can see. And the blue buff going to be scattered out here by NhocTy. Does notice that hasn't been taken just yet.
NhocTy does love his red side top laning. He always goes towards the enemy blue buff. He does it rather efficiently from what we have seen of him so far. Cho'Gath stealing away blues and the like.
Yeah, just trying to pick up this farm underneath the turret. You can see Naul able to do a lot of burst damage. If he can get that shatter off.
Starting to harass him out. Darksteel not with a refillable potion, however, for Naul, so maybe money inefficient when it comes to the potion spending.
True.
But so far, so good at recuperating what was happening in this middle lane very early on.
Dangerous thing now, BigKoro actually going back with about perfect gold to buy the BF sword, that he now doesn't have any potions to speak of, so a lot of that damage will be sticking. This pallet can actually get these gleaming quill heals off. She does. At least that time.
And Mystic on the opposite side have the Cull and 2 long swords to be seen from him, knowing full well that he just wants to farm up an extra 100 CS and make that Cull efficient. Up until that point, the BF sword should be stronger for AD trades.
Oh, got another engagement. Yeah, really good. Howling Gale comes in from Zero just to get that disengage happening, and Eye of the Storm's going to keep Mystic healthy. Condi needs to be careful, actually. Here his entrance comes in as Venus kicks back Condi, and my god, that Q went a long way, Naul, and he's going to make himself 2-0 now. The mid laner that Young Generation get behind is really starting to take off.
Double buffs with the 2-0 is very dangerous for LeBlanc to have. Jayce
yeah, just leaves.
Going to have a pretty rough time with him. May just try and trade from the bush if he walks predictably, which is not, but there he is.
Oh, this face check is not what you wanted. xiye just ends the life of Naul. The Ignite's enough to do it, and that's the double buffs transitioned again.
And I can't stress how clean that was from xiye as well, using the perfect Jayce combo the way that you should execute on that combo, speeding up his auto attack, switching into hammer form to get 3 quick taps out in the duration of the Ignite, knowing there was no W for Naul. Doesn't even flash to safety. He's just dead.
Straight up dead. And now double buffs in the hands of xiye instead. Has himself a 10 CS lead at the same time, and my goodness, that may have actually just saved what could have been an incredible snowball from Young Generation to start this game off.
It's one of those moments where you see him walk around to the bottom side of mid, not phased by a LeBlanc clone in this case, but you're not too sure why he was there, and suddenly Naul's walking in that direction and just kills him. Almost unexpected as to why he was there in the first place. Condi, we get to see how he dies. Of course, he was on a ward. Now, he could have smoked the blue buff on his way out, may have survived, but he flashes out, doesn't get the smite off. Naul will pick up that kill. Now we get to watch as xiye. Watch for the combo here. The amount of buttons that he has to press in such a short duration. You can see the empowered auto attack speed as well. Very clean coming out of the mid laner of Team WE.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the button tracker like we've been seeing from LoL Esports on Twitter to show exactly what was being pressed. There's xiye once again going to cheat towards the bottom side. The Raptors are being taken here by Condi, who's had a relatively slow game.
Yeah.
In contrast to what have been pretty fantastic performances so far this series.
If we're comparing the last game to this one, this is one of the slowest games we've seen from Condi. Ultimately, he's playing the Gragas. He's being tracked a bit more by the Lee Sin of Venus, who has been much more active relative to his last game as well. But most of that is around finding Condi, opposed to finding ganks. And I would still say that's a perfectly fine decision. Condi does love to spend a fair amount of his time towards tracking the enemy junglers. Well, the shoe's on the other foot.
Kitty. Not going to find NhocTy, but at least 957 now knows exactly what's going on as he just gets bramble bashed backwards. Iteration was a little bit unintentional, but he didn't mind it.
How exciting it is as well to watch top laners fight each other.
That's why we're talking about alliteration as opposed to what's actually happening here is, yeah, the taunt's that's gonna land, NhocTy, and it's not gonna do anything, as they're about as even as you possibly can be up on the top side.
We have a Ghost Blade completed as well for xiye in this middle lane, contrasting that, of course, to Naul, who has gone towards the Hextech Gunblade, but he had to go seek his arm guard first. Now, that is unfortunate for the LeBlanc. It means it delays his big item spike, where xiye has one right now. There's an opportunity for Team WE to work around that fact.
I like that he just uses the Ghost Blade as well. Clears out the back line of minions with that Shock Blast.
I guess it looks threatening.
Yeah.
To have Ghost Blades.
And also, it's like it's got a really low cooldown. And how many times do you buy Ghost Blade and you just don't feel like you use it enough? Happens to me a lot. I guess, you know, having more buttons to press is difficult. xiye just going to pick this one up as it heads towards him as well. Just still giving respect to Naul here in the mid lane. He's going to move down and spot Condi out.
And so they should. They have to give respect to Naul. He's still very strong even after he died. Only puts him at 2-1. And though he hasn't got the big item spikes, he's far enough ahead that he has still got items, as Control Ward is not allowed to be secured by him at all. It's going to get replaced. Don't even think about it.
I believe that was Zero chucked an extra one down. Potentially.
Speaking of wards, though, Atlas, look at the wards that Young Generation have got inside the red side jungle of Team WE.
Yeah.
Almost a straight line, and then one deep ward just behind where Condi is right now. It means that if it came to it, there's absolutely teleport spots up and available, but most importantly, they can see where Condi is.
They also have an inside track towards this dragon as well. Of course, it is a Cloud Drake, so not necessarily the most coveted, but certainly an option. Vision going to be solely in the hands of Young Generation after this ward is removed from the back of the pit.
They want pallet. They don't know that Lee Sin's just around the corner. And this is now a risk as LeBlanc starts to collapse with it. Suddenly, you would say Condi's at risk.
Yeah, and xiye as well giving a lot of respect here to Young Generation as xiye finds Naul once again. Does need to be careful, but the root comes in. Hero's entrance is there, and NhocTy gonna colossally smash him out of the fight. 957 makes his way through, but this is dangerous as Featherstorm comes in from Mystic. He's trying to get the work done. They're looking for Naul if they can get him, but they still haven't been able to pick one. 957 finally able to lock down a kill, and he's so tanky. NhocTy dies as well as Mystic grabs that kill, and they just did not have the damage. Naul had just used all his combo already.
Incredibly, there's not enough damage to secure the kill onto Mystic, who looked like he was a tank in that fight, just sitting in the front lines and does not die. I at the very least expected him to die in the end. But no, just plays it expertly, has the team supporting him throughout all of this, the ultimate usage. Everything goes correct for him in the end. And that was after they pick off xiye.
And the Ardent Sensor was already done. That's probably why he didn't take a lot of damage there, Rusty.
That's a teleport actually behind them. He may take damage now.
That's a real deep one. It's not Naul, as NhocTy's going to turn up. No Featherstorm available here for Mystic. Does have his flash, though, and gets himself to the right side. But Naul turns up in the end, close to falling. But is able to lock that one down, and thankfully, the Young Generation, it's BigKoro that finally finds himself a kill.
Still makes it closer than it should have been, but Young Generation, they're able to go down to bottom lane with the teleport, stay down at bottom lane with that teleport. I would assume they're just going to keep going take down this structure. Naul is the only one who leaves. Condi, you saw him, he was looking at the Rift Herald. They're probably going to take that as a trade, but first turret still very much worth for Young Generation.
Yeah, 800 gold now, the leaders. Let's have a look at this fight once again and see exactly what went wrong here for Young Generation, because it looked good to start things off.
Yeah, big kill onto xiye, but a lot was used to secure him. The flash ultimate, NhocTy's ultimate as well. This is the taunt that gets dodged by Mystic. He's then charmed, he's knocked up, and you're like, all right, he's dead. But he's not dead. He's actually walking towards Naul while using the blade call in the opposite direction. And then you've got Zero's heal, Mystic getting shields on him as well, the Ardent Sensor, massive amounts of it. The fact that in the middle of a team fight, he's able to see the primary target whilst being attacked by a million people.
And also stand in a monsoon for the entirety of the time as well. That's the real scary part, because Zero was untouched.
Ardent Sensor's one hell of an item.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a different word to close that sentence out, but exactly right. Righteous Glory now completed here for 957, as Naul still has to be respected. It's a Bilgewater Cutlass utilized, shot with a knife. Doesn't feel great.
Palette's also gone for a very different build on his Rakan. Opposed to committing to the Ardent Sensor as a rush, he goes for the Sight Sign and Boots of Mobility.
Yeah.
So he's going to be moving quickly. He's got the Aether Wisp with it. He's got the Sight Stone for extra vision if we're going to contrast that to what Zero has been placing. But he has a Lee Sin on his team. There's a chance there was already going to be a lot of vision to place down. I feel like Condi's been supplementing at the very least for Team WE.
Well, another turret is going to fall down as WE grab 2, heading down the bottom side. In response to just the one the Young Generation were able to grab on the top side of the map, just shows that this game, WE do have that tempo advantage. Backs had to come out immediately with BigKoro.
And ultimately, why we mention Rakan's build is because he's not going to spike nearly as strongly as Zero is in the current moment. We just saw a team fight happen. Zero had spiked before the fight broke out. Palette still did his job, but Zero's job is far more significant because it augments the rest of the team. Mystic carries because Zero allows him to carry, where Palette just engages and hopes that the team can back him up.
And it's also just being able to get a fully channeled monsoon, especially at that stage of the game as well. Zero had only just about ticked over to the level 6 mark with an Ardent Sensor. You have a little bit more of that AP as well. That a lot of the time, I mean, I know personally, you know, from a lot of experience commentating Janna games before Ardent Sensor was a thing, Monsoon was used often as disengage, things like that, not necessarily as heals, and that was doing a lot of healing. It's why it felt like Young Generation just didn't have as much damage as they should have. Now WE able to pressure them away from this outer turret in the mid lane, just nothing that they could do.
And still set up Team WE with 4 control wards that can still be placed down wherever they choose. Mystic now placing his one. There's no Baron to look at just yet, but already a semblance of wards starting to be built around the area. Because the river, very important part of Summoner's Rift that WE want to maintain. Young Generation are still warding decently well. They are still pressuring decently well. This will reset if Lee Sin goes.
Yeah. Then it's just going to head back out, and Condi waits for his buttons and bonks the Brambleback on the head.
Hello, BigKoro.
Yeah. So I was looking at Naul saying, yeah, okay, now with the Gunblade, he's going to be doing a lot of damage. xiye as well just needs to land 1 EQ and they're dead.
And meanwhile, of course, Mystic has been the split pusher for the team. Sitting bottom lane, now back towards the top side. They'll get 2 easy turrets for themselves. Team WE are playing this one out slowly, but it's working as they require. Young Generation, we've seen very good things from them through this series, but we're yet to see all of these good things culminate into a complete game. They have to do it now.
Well, I find it so strange, right? That now that Zero has stepped in instead of Ben, WE look so much cleaner. When, I mean, I'm thinking back to the Zero I used to know, and he's the one that, you know, plays Thresh, builds a QSS and a Guardian Angel, you know, all that sort of stuff. He's normally the one doing the crazy things, whereas currently seems to be the voice of reason and able to control them through an incredible team fight to start this one off.
A lot changes in some time when you are gone, Atlas.
Yes, I know.
He no longer builds Guardian Angels, QSS as Thresh support and just runs around trolling, but wins the game ultimately because he's just that good at League of Legends. He now plays to win. He builds Ardent Sensor. He's a changed man.
He is a changed.
Born again support.
Well, Mystic does have his Phantom Dancer completed. Haven't seen a lot of these. Seen Static Shivs and Rapid Fire Cannons as more notable options, but Mystic does want to get in there, start this fight off. I like that. Little bit lower range. Wants to be able to go toe-to-toe with some of these carries from Young Generation.
Yeah, it means that they'll be trying to assassinate him. He's gone towards the Phantom Dancer because they can actually attack him aggressively and burst him in one hit. As long as he doesn't die in one hit, he knows that he'll have a Janna to protect him through the remainder of that team fight. So when you're against the LeBlanc Elise Sin, people that can kill you in one hit effectively, you can hit them first and just constantly trade aggressively and forwards, which is what Mystic needs to do. And by doing that, he actually reduces their damage. So yeah, it complements the LPL playstyle, let's say, building a Phantom Dancer.
And also having an Ardent Sensor as well. Zero is going to be in his back pocket the whole time. The more you hit people, the more health you are getting back. That change, not yet to come in. And xiye completed his second item as well. So Black Cleaver done. 30% CDR for the Jayce feels fantastic. See what he's going to go towards next, whether he's going to head towards something like a GA. We're going to continue on the lethality train. Wouldn't mind either, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he could commit towards more lethality. Duskblade is usually a good choice. It is almost a surprise that Black Cleaver's going to be his second item. As xiye, he just missed that.
Oh, he did, and he is just going to get jumped on by everyone. He's like, why? I threw him a shock blast. Should have found everything. His teleport. He's actually going to come down as well. They're committing to this fight massively. Good Monsoon to try and mix this one up as the hero's entrance comes in. NhocTy is a massive body in the middle of this fight as Naul is going to fall down in the end. That first pick onto xiye happens every single time, but it's still going to be a relatively close battle. There's the Featherst on the fight from Mystic. Wants to find more as NhocTy's in trouble. Pallet, the first one to go down. NhocTy gonna be the second as Mystic calls back the blades. And the twisted advance from 957 says, Venus, you ain't going anywhere, and this should just be another one for the AD carry of WE. Cool guys don't look at explosions and they lock it down.
Doesn't even look, just turns around, knows the kill is his. Zero is dead. Mystic does not care. He's still going to be aggressive. He's still going to win the rest of the team fight. Incredible performance coming out of Team WE. BigKoro, no chance of doing damage. And WE say, you know what, this is a great opportunity to just go straight to the Baron. But there's a teleport from Naul. They want to stop this if they can.
Well, we do have only one smite on the map for now. xiye has set himself up. Koro does have to be very careful. Buster Shot immediately used as the Baron's down very, very low. Condi just going to find that smite button. This will be absolutely fine, and WE lock it down. It's quite a few Barons in a row now, Rusky, and they are in control of the series and definitely this game.
Feels like nobody's going to be able to stop Team WE from doing Barons. But remember, this starts with xiye completely caught out of position. Venus uses his ultimate. Now, the rest of the fight happens. Pallet's engage is sick. And you're expecting the flash taunt from NhocTy here, but he flashes to get over the wall. And that's the unfortunate thing, it feels like. He uses the ultimate at the end instead of going onto Pallet. And so that big wombo, that sick move that you're expecting from Young Generation is sorely missed. Now Mystic sees it, takes the opportunity and goes forward. And Pallet wants to help. He's just hit, he's dead. He's not actually able to help at all, so he'll ultimately die. Should have just ran away, you'd have to imagine. And we'll know that in future, but Mystic kills him in one hit.
And he did close to 6,000 damage in that last fight as well. Gigantic numbers being put up, and this is why his Xayah is so incredibly respected.
You bet his Xayah. That is the game plan against Team WE.
I think xiye was the MVP though. He initiated that fight like no other.
It was a setup.
Yeah.
Had all the setup. Big bait.
It might say 0 damage, but it's not about that. It's about getting the fight at the right stage as Pallet's going to go down incredibly low. That shock blast. BigKoro finds himself a turret. That's not what they want. Naul gets exploded. Mystic, all of that damage we were talking about is going to be able to secure it. And now an inhibitor turret in the mid lane will be falling down. 24 minutes into the game, and the base is broken for Young Generation. The Baron falls first. WE keep moving forward. They've got a pick, and they're looking to try and grab more.
28 seconds on Naul. The LeBlanc is dead. It looks like Team WE, they want to threaten the turret that is attacking the minions was teleported towards.
Yeah, that is in. BigKoro comes back, so he's going to be able to at least get some damage onto Condi here, but the first Nexus turret, it's going to fall down. They're looking for the second shock blaster flying through, and they need to get out of the way. Pallet not tanky enough. Nexus now exposed. Grand entrance finds absolutely nothing. No Nexus damage just yet, but that's because WE want to be getting more of these kills. Naul turns back up. Blade Call is there from Mystic, though. The self-peel from the Xayah is working out with an exposed Nexus. WE are going to back away.
They can't end the game. They'll take the 2 turrets, though, and it means that one more team fight is all it takes to just walk through the middle lane. The inhibitor has only just died. Great push from Team WE. At the end of that push, they'll be super happy with where they are. So much money in the pockets to spend. They are well and truly set up for success, and this is a team composition that should be picking people off so readily and making it work so easily.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we mentioned when the Jayce was locked in that they do need to try and get advantages as quickly as possible with the fact that this comp can be itemized against quite efficiently. And that's certainly what they've done. The Baron buff now still with about 30 seconds to go, and they'll be able to push super creeps towards an exposed Nexus and try and finish this game off. Very close to having a more of Malmortius for xiye. So much damage available.
Oh.
The 3 items for Mystic are completed as well.
You're watching xiye and you just see a Storm Raiders proc surge. Immediately look to the right of your screen and note that BigKoro found the other end of that shock blast. Team
Have a great
WE.
time as well.
Here they go.
Grasp. Yeah, they're looking to try and break open another section of the base. NhocTy stunned up. He's a tank, but he's just not that tanky against all the damage that WE have, and he's forced back to the fountain. An inhibitor is going to fall down, but you may as well just head towards the Nexus. 26 minutes into this game. It's game number 3. This is WE looking to secure their spot in the round of 16. They've been touted as the #1 team in China, and honestly right now, they look absolutely stunning. xiye grabs a kill, Venus is dead, celebratory frags coming in for Team WE as the Nexus, the last to fall. Dominant victory from the Chinese home crowd team, WE.
Not the cleanest of 3-0s, but a 3-0 nonetheless. If we erase game number 2 from our memories, it still looked like there was nothing that was going to slow them down, nothing that was going to stop them. Young Generation knew it was going to be an upset if they took even a map from Team WE, but they were not allowed. Condi said no and refused to give them one.
And Young Generation did look pretty good in game number 2, especially in the moments that they had control over, but honestly, it's a little bit inexcusable to throw Barons like they did twice in a row. Did mean that this felt like WE had it in the bag. But that man on your screen taking the front, Zero subbing in for game number 3, and honestly felt like WE, despite how clean game number 1 was, it was so much more controlled in game number 3. Never felt like WE were able to be tripped up or stopped in their onslaught against Young Generation. It was probably one of the cleanest of the 3-0s that we've seen, apart from, I guess, yeah, game number 2.
Hey man, even Cloud9 had a game number 2. Happens to the best of them. But WE still look very good throughout the entirety of this series. And you're right, they bring in Zero, they make the sub to the super sub Zero, and they do look clean. They look a little bit more controlled, but we have to take a second. You know, Young Generation, they still had some incredible moments. They still look like the makings of a fantastic team. And they're aptly named. They are a very young team with a bright future ahead of them. They just lost to Team WE. They got the unfortunate matchup against the Chinese home side, and they were bested on the day.
Yeah, and look, this is a team that's been playing underneath the Gigabyte Marines as well, a team that is already through to the round of 16. So no worries for Vietnam. They certainly still have another seed in here, and Young Generation are going to go back and try and do the best that they can to get back here again for the next year. But to get their thoughts on Game 3 and close out the play-in stage, let's send it down to Dracos and the analysts.
Atlas, my thought is that Mystic is a monster, and that Team WE look terrifying. Mostly because of Mystic being a monster, though, to be fair.
Mystic was a monster. Condi had a good series. xiye even looked pretty good at points, so I think the whole team is looking pretty good right now.
But the big thing for me was actually the change up from Bin to Zero. They didn't change the champion. They kept it on the same draft. They picked up the Janna, but it was a completely different Janna performance. Zero looked so much more comfortable on this champion.
I think that was the consistency that we saw as we moved later in the game. And at first, it did look like Young Generation may have had it in, like they might be in control of the game, but individual members on the side of WE started to step up. And if we look at this first replay, we can say xiye, there's a reason why he is known for this Jayce play, such a fierce competitor when it comes to finding these opportunities.
Naul had a good job of getting a couple kills early in the game. They were doing some good jungle pressure, but he face checks xiye and he gets deleted instantly. That's a quick combo. You see that replay was about 2 seconds long. good play out of xiye there.
And here's the thing, you have to understand that yes, xiye is slumping, but he was known as a one-trick Annie player, kind of a one-trick Twisted Fate. Diana, if you want to go all the way back to IM, he's always had kind of a limited effective champion pool. When he does find his comfort picks like those Jayce, however, he's able to put up those big numbers and remind everyone that he's still a top mid laner in the LPL.
Definitely looked good for him, but as we move later in the game, xiye maybe he fumbled once or twice, but his team started pulling off impossible tasks even when he wasn't present. When we take a look at this last replay brought to you by Acer Predator, you can see xiye may have made a mistake, but WE were there to pick it up.
I think this play, just as a whole, I feel like this replay totally encapsulates the series. It starts out with Young Generation doing some good stuff. They grabbed a lot of early leads in this series, and it looks like they're going to be able to turn this play. Huge engage out of Pallet, but instantly they turn it around. Mystic's going to be untouched in the entire backside of this fight and is going to clean up a ton of kills.
Yeah, and the target priority from Young Generation isn't the greatest here. You can see that two members really commit themselves to trying to chase down and kill Zero on the top side of the fight, and then there's nothing left for Mystic when he finally pushes through the back half of it. And even if they hit this guy with all of his buttons, there's no kill pressure, and he's going to walk through it.
Yeah, the whole time, BigKoro caught on the backside of the fight, unable to get involved. This is eventually going to lead down to the Baron, which WE used to finish out the game.
And it's just insane to me that they managed to come back from this. I saw that Galio coming in.
Well, I don't think he means the whole game, that fight.
I mean specifically this fight, let's be clear. I mean specifically that fight. That was crazy to me how well they executed. Yes, you can put it in part due to poor target selection from YG, but the confidence with which Mystic moves through a team fight is a little crazy to me. But I also really suck at AD carry, so pretty much everything he does is impressive.
This is expected. This is how Team WE played. This is why they were so dominant in the LPL for so long. Yes, we have seen them fumble team fights against Lion. Yes, they fumbled team fights against Young Generation. But that is why I praise Team WE so highly, because of how consistent they can be in team fights, even at 4v5 disadvantages.
I mean, even in the laning phase, talking about how confident he looked in that team fight, he kept stepping forward to dodge those Rakan Ws at the start of the game, did a really good job of keeping pressure up in that laning phase. Did fall to a gank, but they're creating pressure, and eventually Condi started finding his own looks, and then you had the xiye solo kill, and they swung things back pretty quickly.
And honestly, it's good that you bring up Condi, because while Mystic looked incredible, Condi was a rock across that series, maybe a few missteps here and there, but he will be our player of the series. I would say well-deserved. 2 Baron steals make him a pretty easy shoe-in, but also just when the rest of the team is crumbling, him keeping the discipline, him keeping it together is truly impressive.
He's the facilitator. Everything about Team WE plugs into him, and look at the different diversity of champions that he showcased in this series. Yeah, maybe he's hit and miss on the Ezreal jungle. Maybe I'm not really feeling that pick too much, but he still went for it. You know, this isn't Sejuani every single game, Gragas every single game. There's so much diversity here.
And the only lackluster scoreline is from the game where he stole 2 Barons. So I just like, all right, I'll take that. If you're gonna die a little bit more, but steal Barons, you can do whatever you want.
I mean, even that game, it started out with him dominating on the top side of the map and catching back up in the jungle before converting down the bot lane. I don't feel like he played that bad. It was just that the bot lane was already getting smashed by the time he got down there. And then, yeah, a little sad that Young Generation could pick one of those up, but a crazy, just Q steal with the Ezreal pick. Very impressive.
I was 100% convinced this was gonna be at least a 4-game series. Even on the second Baron. The first Baron, I was like, okay, they've got this now. All right, no. Second Baron, there was still hope. We talked about it. There was still hope. They have the feast. Oh.
Very painful to see. But Young Generation came out here, and I personally feel like they showed like they were the best, or second best, or excuse me, the best wildcard team out there, actually. I think they had a really strong performance overall. I really liked what I saw of them. Just tough that they ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw in WE.
I mean, frankly, it's a huge underdog story. It's really easy to be a fan of Vietnam teams, Young Generation and Gigabyte Marines. This is David versus Goliath. I mean, China has so many resources, so many large clubs, the largest league in the world. Vietnam, you know, they're part of this smaller scene in Southeast Asia. They had to fight through it. It was even an upset that Young Generation made it this far, taking down Ascension. So huge props to them, so close to making top 16 with their brothers in Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, absolutely excited to see what Vietnam and the GPL can do in the future. But to hear more about that series, let's send over to Fish and the newest support to join the group stage.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Zero, the support for Team WE after their 3-0 sweep over Young Generation. Congratulations on your victory. The first question I'd like to ask is, in the LPL, a lot of LPL analysts don't think that Team WE is the 3rd seed team from the LPL. They rank Team WE much higher. How do you compare yourself to Team EDG as well as RNG?
네, 먼저 축하드립니다. 지금 3대 0으로 전승을 하고 오셨는데요. 그럼 첫 번째 질문 드리도록 하겠습니다. 지금 중국 LPL에서 많은 분석가들이 이제 팀이 이제 세 번째 시드에 들어갈 거라고는 거의 생각을 못했고요. 사실 그것보다 훨씬 더 상위를 기록할 것이라고 예측했습니다. 그렇다면 이제 본인께서는 뭐 EDG나 RNG와 비교했을 때 팀의 순위를 어느 정도로 생각하고 계십니까?
일단 저희가 중국 리그에서는 EDG하고 RNG한테 많이 졌는데 그 이유가 일단 소통의 문제라고 생각하거든요. RNG하고 EDG는 중국 선수들이 더 많다 보니까 소통이 원활하게 돼서 중국 리그에서 저희보다 좀 더 우세를 취할 수 있는 것 같아요.
Okay, we did lose against EDG or RNG a lot of times in the China LPL, but I think that's due to the communication issues. Now, they are all composed of Chinese players, so they have a very good communication. That's why they can take advantage in the Chinese league.
Okay, well, that's strong to hear coming from EG as well as RNG. Hopefully you guys are able to shore up those communication issues that you've been facing. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was how you and Ben have been swapping over between supports. What's the rationale behind this? What's the strategy behind swapping out the supports from time to time?
네, 그렇다면 말씀하신 소통 문제가 원활히 해결되기를 바라고 있고요. 이번에는 그러면 교체에 대해서 질문 드리겠습니다. 지금 벤 선수하고 교체가 종종 되곤 하는데 이렇게 급하게 교체가 된 이유가 있었거나 어떤 전략적인 이유였는지 아니면 종종 이렇게 서폿을 바꾸긴 하는데 그 이유가 있나요?
일단 기본적으로 최근 게임 대에서 벤 선수가 워낙 저보다 좀 더 잘하기 때문에 벤 선수를 많이 쓰는데 저도 일단은 그렇게 폼이 많이 죽지 않았기 때문에 가끔씩 이렇게 나와가지고 팀의 승리를 기여하는 것 같아요.
Okay, recently Ben has been performing very well, maybe better than me. That's why he's been on the first lineup more than I do. But I'm still not dead yet, so I still got it. That's why I sometimes get picked as a lineup and contribute to the victory of the team.
Well, it showed just then in the third and final game against Young Generation. Lastly, now that you guys are moving on into the main group stage of the World Championship, you were favorites during play-ins. Which teams do you want to play against going into the main stage of Worlds?
네, 당연하죠. 조금 전 영 제너레이션과의 경기에서도 아직 실력이 녹슬지 않았다는 것을 보여주셨습니다. 그렇다면 이제 그룹 스테이지에 진출하게 되겠는데요. 롤드컵 본선에 나가서 상대하고 싶은 팀은 어디입니까?
사실 제가 제일 상대하고 싶은 팀은 SKT인데 저희가 B하고 D조밖에 못 가는 걸로 알기 때문에 그 둘 중에 하나 뽑자면은 D조를 가고 싶어요.
Okay, actually, I want to fight against SKT T1 in the top 16, but we only can go to either Group B or Group D, so in that case, I prefer Group D.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to make it out of the group stage and face off against your rivals who you want to play off against. Congratulations on your victory. Best of luck throughout the rest of the world stage. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Fish. I love that. I'm not dead. I still get to play sometimes. I still show up. I still help the team.
Definitely not dead yet compared to Ben's performance in a couple of these games. He was looking a lot better. I'll say that.
All right, guys. Well, we are just a few moments away from group draw. We'll keep you updated as we get closer. But in the meantime, we want to take a few minutes to kind of recap where we have been in the tournament, what we've seen so far. And my first question is, what region surprised you the most? Because I'll be honest, I wrote a tier list coming into this, and I was 100% wrong. And I just want to know, how did your guys' predictions stack up against the actual results that happened?
I think, well, you can go.
I think the one that I misread the most was actually Young Generation. And I agree with Mark Xayah. I feel that looking at a lot of the emerging region teams, that they were much stronger than probably they deserve to go down in this elimination round.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see with the change in format how tough it can be to find that spot, to find those opportunities to get in, to really get anything done. Because I think you're right in saying that Young Generation looked very strong, and in some ways stronger than even Fenerbahce went through. But ultimately, like, hey, you know, you don't get that first seed, you don't get quite as much safety, and that's the big difference maker when it comes to individual performances.
Right, and I think a lot of people could have predicted that like most of the number one seeds would move out, or the pool one team, excuse me, so the major regions mostly got out. I think the biggest upset that I didn't see coming was HKA not making it out. It was a very tough battle between them and 1907 Fenerbahce, but you know, it did feel like they lacked a little bit of that late game shot calling. They gave up a lot of Barons, and even though they had a much stronger laning phase, which is what I was banking on, you know, you saw the team play come in for them, even having a substitute jungler in Crash.
And HKA falling down so early in the tournament does speak volumes about the rest of the LMS. You know, this is the first time that the region has had the opportunity to send 3 representatives to showcase that they're not just a 2-team region. And HKA, a lot of the LMS analysts say that HKA is stronger than AHQ currently. So there is so much weight, so much pressure on AHQ and Flash Wolves now to grind up in their boot camps to prepare for top 16, because if HKA was one of the best that they've got, I'm worried about what the future holds.
You have to feel terrible as an HKA player, or even even Flash Wolves, because you're just like, oh my God, we have so much pressure now because we have to defend our region. It wasn't just like, oh, we want to go out and perform well for ourselves. But now AHQ is concerned that people are going to say, oh yeah, these guys are even worse than HKA, and they're going to get, knocked out in the group stage.
Regional pride, I think, a big factor, but one region I think that can be proud, Latin America North. Yes, they did get 3-0'd by Cloud9, but I think the Lion Gaming continue to surprise us at these qualifier events.
I feel so bad for them. They keep getting such unlucky draws. And I mean, it's kind of a meme to say unlucky, but you look at MSI, they're in the group with Gigabyte Marines, so they can't get out. This time around versus WE, so they're put into the pool 2 seed, and then they draw C9, and while I think they would have struggled versus WE and Fnatic equally, you can't help but feel like if they were put up against 1907 Fenerbahce, we would have had a great series on our hands.
And I just wish that they could get access to kind of like that next tier of scrims. If they're able to go into top 16, suddenly you get access to all of those teams that are waiting on that side of the group stage and what that could mean for Lion in the future. We already know that they have a cool track record of, reaching out to the North American teams, the challenger scene, the LCS scene, and trying to grind up. And we see that now in their domestic results and now slightly international results.
I think that's a great point, just because a lot of the time we say things like, oh, they get to bring all this experience back to their region. And what happens a lot of the times is the teams end up swapping around, and that experience kind of gets lost as the players shuffle. But what's great about the side of Lion Gaming is that they've had a core members for a really long time, so they would actually level up quite a bit.
Yeah, but now, of course, the group draw for the Pool 3-3 is about to start shortly, live from Wuhan with Ren Dong and LPL Snake's mid laner Zayah. Now, remember that the only condition of the draw is that 2 teams from the same region cannot be drawn into the same group. And now, because of this condition, the groups will essentially be decided by the first team poll, but we will run through the entire thing.
There's basically only one scenario where not everything is decided right away. That's if Fnatic is drawn first, where there will be a second draw. Everything else, 100% based on the first draw.
I mean, pretty much if you're a TSM fan or an NA fan and you believe that you want Team WE to avoid Group D, you either want WE or you want Fnatic out of this bowl.
Those are the best 2 things you can hope for. I'm personally hoping for C9 to end up in Group C, which means I personally want to see Fenerbahce drawn first or WE drawn first. And if you're a true TSM fan like I am, that means WE first.
Man, this is grim. This is rough, because the ultimate truth is that I'm not worried for WE. I am worried for the NA and EU teams, respectively, that have to go up with them, and I think that's just a testament to the strength that we have seen here.
I'm actually worried for a couple of my Chinese teams, though. I'm actually really worried for EDG. Fnatic could end up in that group. I think Fnatic stylistically matches up really well to punish EDG.
You can see the crowd ready. It's the tie.
It's a tie. He's been around for a very long time. I think he started playing, he's been playing professionally for 5 years now, formerly from Invictus Gaming. People should remember him. Old school Worlds fans.
Been to a lot of international competitions. If you've been watching for a while, you definitely know this guy's name. And here we go.
Moment of truth. Wait, what was it that NA wanted?
They do not want, they want Fnatic or WE here.
Fnatic or WE. Who's it gonna be?
Oh, it is C9
Oh, all right,
That
C9.
means that Team WE is locked in Group D.
Also, Fnatic will be going into Group B then, and 1907 Fenerbahce Esports will be moving into Group C.
Now, of course, we will, I believe, play out the rest of the draw. You guys can fill in your brackets at home, though, yourself and form the rest. But that is the nature of so many of his teams going through that are third seeds, is that there's so many few valid options.
They just want to keep Zayah on stage, make sure he can get all the draws he wants, even though it is mostly locked in.
He's doing it in order, though. He got Fnatic into Group B.
Let's see if he can get 100%. Right now,
he's got 50-50 on this last one to make sure he gets it 100% right.
Is Zayah the greatest group drawer we've ever had? That is the question now on board.
I feel like TSM fans shaking their head no.
Yeah, they're definitely not too happy with him right now, but I do think as a TSM fan, you kind of have to accept that you're going to have to play hard teams eventually in the tournament to prove that you actually had to get and earn your positioning, as Zayah does drop the automatically perfect draws.
And again, unfortunately, he drew Team WE because RNG is already in Group C, which is what he was drawing for. They are then bumped automatically into Group D. So there you are, TSM fans. You're flanked between Misfits, Flash Wolves, and Team WE.
And yay for G2, man. They did not get C9 in that group. That is gonna make Europe's life a little bit easier. Don't get me wrong, 1907 Fenerbahce are a fierce competitor, but we have seen what NA mid-jungle synergy does to European teams, and I do not like it.
It is a little disappointing. As a Fnatic fan, or excuse me, as a European fan, you're obviously very happy that the group does not get any harder. But the big concern, of course, was already Samsung and RNG. Are you going to be able to match up versus those two teams? Whoever was coming in from the pool 3 side, you know, basically C9 most likely, if it wasn't going to be 1907 Fenerbahce, you're going to have a hard battle no matter what.
And taking a look over these groups, I don't think any of these picks kind of fundamentally shift the power dynamic at all. I think Group A still, you know, just as strong. Group C, maybe it alleviates a little bit of that group of death because now I guess you're competing against SKT, EDG, AHQ, and Cloud9. So maybe power dynamic shifts towards Group A a little bit more.
I think Group B is another one, just with Fnatic ending up there. If they are actually better than Immortals, then they are pretty likely to get out. I know Gigabyte Marines are a scary team, but they're much scarier in the sense like they'll steal a game from you and ruin your Worlds run versus like actually battle you to be the second best team in the group.
And that's what I want to know because Young Generation looks so good here, and we know the Gigabyte Marines have been deemed a much stronger team overall. So I personally really want to know how they're actually going to stack up, how much better they're going to look from MSI.
I think you can just see that they were able to take a game away from Fnatic, pretty scary.
Yep.
Almost took a game away from WE, if not for 2 insane Baron plays. So when you look at Gigabyte Marines, they have a very good chance of taking games away from anyone in this group. I don't think you're safe at all playing them.
All right, with the pool 3 seeds distributed, as we continue our discussion, let's take a final look at these groups heading into the next week of play. Of course, we already saw them briefly on your screen. Now we have them in front of us. And I think for me, really, I think Group D is an interesting story, but ultimately I think Group A and Group B are the most interesting, especially if you are an EU and NA fan.
Absolutely. C9 ending up in Group A, it's really not too bad when you're looking at the other potential being Group C. So as a C9 fan, you have to be pretty happy. You are going to have to be better than EDG, AHQ. Pretty unlikely to be better than the SKT based off history, if it's any indicator, but it's not too bad of a draw at all.
Yeah, and specifically with Cloud9's most recent form, you know, maybe domestically there were some inconsistencies, particularly with impact up into the top lane, but since regional finals in through play-ins, he has certainly cleaned that up a lot, which I think does give him a cut or an edge above EDG, who has Mouse as their top laner.
Yeah, excited to see exactly what SKT can do in the top lane. Ziv as well from AHQ. I think the top lane competition outside of EDG is going to be very, very exciting to watch. Not that I'm not expecting anything from Mouse, just that the other guys just feel a little bit above him.
Absolutely. And the NA fan of me is kind of disappointed because I want an easy group for TSM and I want C9 and Group C to have a crazy battle. But I do feel like these are actually very balanced groups where, for the most part, there's one clear favorite generally in the group, followed by a couple who can really vie for that number 2 seed. So this is going to be a very exciting group stage to watch for me.
There's also such a huge diversity of play styles fed into every single group. It's not like we're going to see like the slow macro game. You have your crazy teams, you have your team fighting teams. Like, it's a smorgasbord of every different type of League of Legends that you would want to watch.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see exactly how this plays out, but throughout the entire week, you logged on to call out your world's big plays, so we decided it was best to review a few of our favorites, brought to you by Acer. Now, up first, Law Octavian heard Mark loud and clear when he called out Smoothie's big play. He says, at the Mark C, that's this guy. He clipped that Thresh play for you, man.
Yeah, this is such a good play. I can't wait to see this again, just because Smoothie is going to smash it.
Is this the sick flay?
This is the, I don't want to spoil too much for the viewers, but we are going to take a look at it now, and I can't wait to see one more time exactly what Smoothie does.
I think they will, because they've wasted way too much time. White Lotus and Genthix wanted nothing to do with that. But here comes Sejuani as the counter gang.
Smoothie landing the hook, but now he's got to be pulled to safety by Sneaky.
Yeah, Smoothie actually had a fantastic game. It's not going to show so much in the stats, but the way he was deflecting ganks and starting things off.
That's just such a nasty mechanical play. Like, if you don't play Thresh and don't understand how hard it is to hit the perpendicular flays when someone's movement is going through the hitbox as opposed to into it parallel, it's actually very difficult to hit that, as well as the fact that he's doing it in the middle of hooking a Tristana and then realizing, you know, Sejuani's coming over the wall. That is just such a disgusting
I'm just glad someone
play.
called it out, because you've literally been talking about it nonstop since it happened, and you finally get to say it on air, so yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That's my little moment. Thank you very much.
All right, well, then Phil Chen spotted the Line Gaming 80 carries. Quick reactions. He said that was a really sick flash by White Lotus. So smart.
Contract swooping in there with the ulti to make sure they seal the deal. White Lotus coming in, trying to find the damage onto Jensen. Manages to get it out, plays the taunt with the flash.
My God, just take a second to appreciate how good of a player White Lotus is. Just straight flash. So clean. And then jumps out to safety with the rest of the reinforcements. You just watch that Tristana in that last play, and it's just pretty. It's so pretty.
Not even a single beat skipped. He's just like in mid auto attack, dodges the flash, and then just continues to smash people, hops to the other side.
That's the best part. There's no awkward fumble. There's no awkward stop and auto attack a different target. Literally one track mind. It ignores the Shen, flashes perfectly, keeps auto in the Orianna.
Yeah, nasty play out of him.
Absolutely. Well, finally, while Patton couldn't end the day in a penta, Sir Ordinary was still impressed by the 1907 Fenerbahce AD carry.
Patton opens up, he's spraying and he's praying for more kills. It's a double for him. 1907 Fenerbahce will flash in for these kills. Marv forced back to the fountain, Bird forced back to death. And now 1907 Fenerbahce can close out this game. The quadra kill for Patton. Give him his second penta of Worlds. He does it again. Chapone steals it away.
不容先死，继续追，闪现上来一下，一技能又 boss 一个。
是的，剩下3个人应该是无法抵挡对面的大军了。赶快闪现过来，小胖这边跑回水泉，3杀，能量倾泻灌进去，9桶一继续帮忙扛塔，4杀，
最后一个
拿5杀吧，冲拳拿5杀，冲拳拿5杀。
They wanted to give him the penta, but Chapone, he said, you know what? I deserve some of the credit too.
He didn't have to push W! He didn't have to do anything! They just had to die in the fountain for him!
He literally gave his team the bird.
I'm glad. All right, they already spoon-fed Patton 1 pentakill. They don't want to give this guy all the attention on the team. Frozen's still on there, Crash is on there. All right, let some other people shine for a moment.
Everyone needs a spotlight. All right, well, don't forget to keep calling out those big plays, and we'll keep an eye out all Worlds long. I think just so many fantastic ones across the board. It's hard to decide what was the most impressive, but those were just a few. And now, as we close out the play-in stage, let's take a look at this week's Best of the Rift, presented by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now, these are the players that stepped up on the big stage and made their names known throughout the play-ins. And first up, it's Team WE's Condi and Lion Gaming's White Lotus.
Both these guys had pretty huge performances. Condi, most recently, he's even playing marksman a little bit. He's doing a lot of stuff over the Rift. Different styles, I think, was the great way to put it, because you have the Jarvan early game, tanky jungler, Gragas a little bit more late game focus, and then finally the Ezreal pick.
Yeah, and we just saw White Lotus flexing some of his mechanical abilities, but it wasn't just that one play. Yes, Lion did go down, but White Lotus had a phenomenal series, had a phenomenal plans, and frankly, a phenomenal Worlds.
Yeah, and while our next player may have struggled a little bit in the group stages, he came in clutch in the elimination match. It's going to be Fnatic's Caps. Of course, this play right here, I think, is the moment where you know the Caps is a clutch player, because shutting that down in a game that you were definitely not winning for a long period of time just looks so good.
And look what happens when Fnatic find that they have a mid laner and they give him resources. He's able to go off and make plays like this. I was so lucky that I got the honor of casting this game and watching Caps not only go off on his Cassiopeia, but then also pulling out his Talia, which was mint.
That was actually what I was really excited about, too. Not just that he's picking some of these more lane-focused things, which we did see a fair amount out of him. You know, we had things like the LeBlanc, which didn't work out as well, which he was doing the counter pick, but that Talia looked immaculate.
All right, well, speaking of dirty Talia players, one more makes him onto our list. It's none other than 1907 Fenerbahce's Frozen. And this is a guy, I think, who, when you give him a roamer, he makes his name known across the map.
And you did say dirty Talia plays, and Frozen certainly had an abundance of them, but there was also that crazy Echo play, that performance alone that broke the tiebreaker, that allowed them to get this best-of-5 series and walk into top 16 at Worlds.
Not to mention the Cerulean Soul play. I was about to bring it up. Perfect time for the B-roll hands. 2 people with stars at the same time. Excellent timing on the roam as well. He leaves mid lane reacting to his bot lane going down. Also able to set up plays. One thing that doesn't happen a ton is people send resources to the Cerulean Soul, but he does have good gank assists, so really great to see him being able to influence his own lane and others.
Well, of course, it's interesting to see exactly how far a lot of these players have come, but from the first CS to the final A's, followed Best of the Rift in more places than ever. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. All right, well, the group stage is going to be kicking off October 5th with Royal Never Give Up versus 1907 Fenerbahce at 12 a.m. PST and 9 a.m. CEST, followed by G2 Esports versus Samsung Galaxy. I can't read that prompt, I'll be honest, guys. And a whole slew of fight matchups all in day one. I broke the magic. I am sorry, but I am ready for day one of the group stage and probably a pair of glasses.
Yeah, I would fix that over there. But we get our first look at RNG. I'm super excited to see how the other LPL teams are faring right now. We've kind of gotten the slow, steady pace of Team WE, and I really want to just shift gears and go back to that sprinting play style.
I also love that starting Group C, which is often being hyped up as one of the craziest ones, with just the sheer amount of talent in that group. So very quickly, we're going to see how that starts shaking up right away.
I just want to see G2. Please, please don't choke this year at Worlds. But we get to find out. We are so close. But now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week to kick off the group stage. Good night. We'll see you shortly.
Are you okay over there?
I can't read. I can't read. It's a struggle. I'm struggling. Welcome back to our final day of the World's Play-In stage. 2 best-of-5 series separate us from kicking off the group stage here in Wuhan, China.
The dive continues. Fenerbahce trying to get what they can out of this fight. They take the tower first. The stun is going to land onto Absolute. Borland dead. It's a double for Frozen. And one are just getting scattered to the wind. Rusa killed. Bert jumps in. Still Frozen off towards the side. Soldier will fall. It's a double for Absolute. Team 1 keep going. They keep pushing forward. They cannot quite get the final 2 members. But Team 1... Borland dives in, says goodbye, and Team 1 are not done as Frozen steps forward looking for the damage onto Marvin Absolute, and the Celestia expansion is enough. Absolute gets taken down, and Team 1 get destroyed by Fenerbahce.
That's a big double Cataclysm. It's in fact the Cataclysmic entrance as BigKoro is going to get evaporated. Big kickback as the Polymorph comes in at the same time, and Mystic on the wrong side of this fight. Condi now pushed on and destroyed by Naul.
It's more than a trickle, but it's not going to be a full waterfall, basically, of how big a lead YG have got. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just
hell of an analogy.
walking my way through it.
Immediately going to come down. Condi jogs his way forward. It's a second steal. This time he's going to die, but who cares? They trade, in fact. His name is Son of Baron. Like, this is a known nickname for Condi, Rusty. Why? This is WE looking to secure their spot in the round of 16. Dominant victory from WE.